evening, Alison. I'm not sure if Facebook's playing tonight. It keeps telling me that it's waiting for the video. Right, I'll just give it a couple of minutes, see if it settles down. Is it doing okay for you, Alison? Okay, Facebook's having a hissy fit. Never mind. Maybe the heat's got to it. Okay, so I spoke to Diana earlier, who wanted me to show her the Hortensia book that will be starting next week. And she's not here yet. So I will quickly run through it, because if I don't do it now, I'll forget. And she can watch it on catch up later. So, has your kit arrived, Alison? So it's, the book is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, which for us in the UK is standard A4 width. So just trim it off at 8 1/4, not into messing about. And then the spine, I think, is 2 1/2. Yeah, I buried my ruler. Oh, the spine is two inches, so that's all right. And we open it up. You'll see I've used the, I don't know if it's called lavender, lilac, pale purple, whatever colour you want to call it. Cardstock for the photo mats as well, because white looked a bit too stark. So you've got a place here to pop your photo in. Just leave one edge free so you can slide, so just sit down 3 sides, you can slide your photograph in. And this side you've got a photo mat there. You've got 2 envelopes in kind of on the next flap of the hinge, so where you would normally have your next page, you've got the 2 envelopes that have photo mats in there. Then you've got a page with, I think it's called corset lace up. So that's just something different to do. It can be quite tricky. This is actually 3 sections of pattern paper. Just, it was easier to line up for the border punch at the bottom. And again, I'll show you how to do that so you get the holes aligned. Probably not next week, won't get that far. Then again, just quite a simple photo mat on there. I was going to put extra flips and flaps in the book, but I think sometimes we go too far with extra flips and flaps. So this next page for something different is actually an acetate page. Now by doing this, all you do is you put in your glue under the back. Again, got a photo mat there. Lift these up and you've got places to put your photos here. Again, be careful when you're sticking it down. Places for your photos there. Bit of a twist on a pocket on this one. Again, places for your photo mats. Yeah, don't do as I did. I folded it a bit too soon, so it's gone crinkly. More places for your photo mats, and we'll go through that in more detail next week. I was going to put a charm on it, but I couldn't find one that really went, so we'll start that. So if Diana's on yet, that she walked through. If not, well, we'll watch it on replay later. So, hi Lorraine, all good with you? So I said I'd go through some scrapbooking because somebody asked me, I think it was the week before last, what do I do with the papers that are left over from kits? Now this one, there are quite a lot of papers. Now if you were frugal, or if you really like the book, you could make another paper bag book. But just in case you thought, no, I've had enough of that, I want to use that for something else. So, which papers I'm going to use? And use that one and that one. So if you take your 6x6 and cut it corner to corner, so you end up with 2 triangles, and the same on I'm just trying to see if there's a right and wrong way on this with the bees. So again, just cut it corner to corner. There we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get my scissors and rough up the edges. Now you can buy a tool called a paper edger, which looks, they're also called like or sold for cutting cotton. So it looks a little bit like that, and in each of these little holes there is actually a blade inside. I don't know if that shows up well on there. So if you, the idea is if you hold a piece of cotton against it and pull back, it will cut the cotton for you. Or if you just get the edge and just go along, it will scuff up the edges. You don't have to buy one of these. You can just run it along and it will scuff the edges of the paper up. If you haven't got one of those, open your scissors up and just run along the top, and it does the same thing. The only difference with using the scissors is that it's very easy. It's not going to work now. If you catch your scissors, it's very easy for them, it's not going to do it, to catch and tear your paper in ways that you didn't want it to tear. Not going to do it. So if your scissors are really, really sharp, it's not doing it. I'll try another one. There we go. So instead of just roughing up the edges, it's torn it slightly. Now that's okay. That can be an effect you want, or it can be, you can tear the paper further from there. Some projects it looks really good on, some doesn't really matter, and some it just doesn't go. But you will find your own way of doing it. So I'll just finish scuffing these up. And it doesn't matter if you do it, you can do it both ways, you can go all in one direction, it's entirely up to you. Heavier weight paper or card is better for this, just because you can hold it better. If your paper's too thin, doesn't have a high GSM, you will find that it will just flop, and then there is a chance you can hurt yourself. So as you can see, you do get quite a bit of mess. So I'll just hoover that up. Now I'm going to put this, now with it being a 6x6 paper pad, obviously 6 and 6 is 12 inches. So roughly there, make sure all my B's are the right way up. So let me get my tape runner. There it is. So I'm just going to, you can also ink the edges of those if you like. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So pop your piece of paper down. Because we've got the roughed up edges, I've not put glue right to the edges, although I will put a squidge more there. Let's have a look. So pop them down. the Rain Facebook's having a hissy fit with a lot of people tonight. Yeah, it threw me out of the live first time I tried to get into it. And then it just kept freezing and telling me it's... And now it keeps turning the sound on when I don't want it to. And there's absolutely nobody touching the screen or the keypad. Obviously it was made by a man, because a woman wouldn't make something so unreliable. Okay, so there we've got, if you wanted to take this further, you can roll the edges of your paper up, but you don't have to. Like I say, just leave it slightly unstuck at the edges, like that. Okay, so once you've done that, if you wanted it to be a focal point, let's have a look what size paper. That's handy. So this is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, so it will just fit a 6x4 photograph on. So you could literally just plop it in the middle, or it doesn't have to be. It depends on your photo. If it's a landscape photo, which I did order photos, they should have arrived with me from Snapfish last Thursday, but we've not had any posts. I think our postman's off, so we've not had any posts, they've not come. But equally, if your photo is a portrait style photo, you can just put that on there, and then you can have it as one photograph. You could trim it in half and have 2 portrait photographs. Either way, what I would tend to do is, with this, I would scuff the edges of the photo mat up as well, to do that. I may then just, depending on what the photograph was of, cut out maybe the Wellington boot or the house and pop the house in. In fact, I'm going to do that. So if you get the house, or if you've got any of the ephemera left from whichever collection you're using, you can then decorate up your scrapbook page, layout page. Different people have started calling them different things. I know them as scrapbooking, and traditionally they are done in 12 by 12. But I was looking for something this afternoon on the internet and googled it, and apparently there's quite a lot of A4 scrapbookers now, and I guess the thing with that is, with your A4 there's a lot more choice of albums, because you can just get the regular albums that people use for work, for school, for college, that take the A4 sized papers and the pockets to put the papers in. I don't know, some people are scared of the 12 by 12 because they feel it's just a larger space to complete, to fill. I do feel it's quite good not to fill every single inch of your page, because it can get a little bit overwhelming and just a little bit too much. So just going to trim round here. Is everybody enjoying the warm weather? Or have we got people who prefer the cold? Okay, so you could pop a picture of, or the cutout of the house there and have your photograph there. Like I say, it doesn't have to be landscape, it can be portrait, it could be, if I've got any more card, size of these. So if you didn't want a 6x4 photograph, you could trim it down, and instead of that, excuse me, you could have 2 3x4 photographs. You could have one of each and do that. So that's one way you can use your leftovers, or even, I mean, there are quite a lot of really nice 6x6 paper pads that you can buy, and yes, they're great, but you know, if you want to take it into your scrapbooking, then you can do it that way. Obviously, depending on the photographs, you could put them like that if you wanted more of the paper showing. So that's one way with your 6x4. Another way you can use your 6x4 photographs, you can use your 6x4 papers, is, let's get some random ones out there now. And I have, I don't think she's online tonight, Julie Billingham to thank for this. My brain wasn't quite functioning, and she showed. So with this one, I'm just going to cut all of them into a triangle. So each sheet then gives you 2. Don't think it really matters if you've got a direction on there. Oops. And the bees. So pop this down. So I'm going to use my, I was going to use my tape runner, but I think it's run away, or I've tidied it up a bit too much. Use this one instead. So just I'm going to do that the wrong way. By eye on that side. Line up top and bottom doesn't have to be exact. Once you've lined them up, you're not actually going to see that much. It's more of a pattern. I'm going with glue. So if you gently line these up, I'm going to alternate the colours because the front and back of these papers have different colours. And one missing. So I'll just pop that on there. So now, yes, the houses are upside down a little bit, but because it's a directional paper. But once you've got your 6x4 photograph on there, you're not going to see that much, and it's just a pattern behind it. You could then, again, if you've cut them out, you could put some of the ephemera or the die cut pieces at the bottom. You could even do, if you wanted to, you could do 3 photographs, or you could do 1 that way and 2 that way. It is entirely up to you, but it's just another way of using up the papers that you don't use on your mini books. So there is that one, which for some reason is moving. You don't have to do it on a white background. That's a great idea for Christmas papers, Lorraine. And then put your photograph on the middle like that, and it does look like you've got a Christmas tree, which, as somebody pointed out to me, is now about 6 months away. But yeah, you can do that. You could do 2 pages and either have them with the arrows all going towards the centre, or you could have it where they're not talking to each other and they're looking the other way. That is a great idea for a Christmas tree, with your picture in the middle. But there's a lot of possibilities for just using up your bits and pieces of papers that you've got left from any other kits. I'm sure you've all had cal kits where there are pages left, or there are 12x12 papers that you don't cut into. I had one, oh gosh, it was a while ago, and the only thing I'd used was something out of the middle of this paper. So you put it down, put a photograph on the focal image over the hole in the paper. Perfect scrapbook layout that didn't need an awful lot doing to it. Maximum impact, but very little effort, which is good sometimes. I love scrapbook pages that take a while and there's a process to go through, but sometimes it's great to have them that don't take as long. I once went to a scrapbook crop and it was on a Friday night from 6 o'clock in the evening till midnight, and I was really pleased because I had 4 layouts. One of the ladies there was, I think, a speed crafter, because in that 6 hours she did 14 layouts, and they were all really good, which upset me somewhat. Again, you can just do it ink the edges, you can make your own backgrounds. It is entirely up to you. Let me get the other papers. One of the things that I also do, if you have a patterned paper that you really like the look of, a good faff. Yeah, you can get some really good things with a good faff, Lorraine. So if I wanted to do a Christmas layout, but I've only got this one sheet that has the UV spot that shines on the paper, but I've only got one paper, so can't do it on the trimmer, just realised. What you can do is get your big long ruler that I have had this evening, and buried, and just, this is a cutting mat, but the cutting mat is magnetic, which I do like, because with things like this, it just means that once you've got your ruler in place, it's not going to move. So let's just done it in one, and it didn't move on here. Let me put my lid back on, because I have a nasty habit of getting myself in a mess. So get a border punch. It can be any border punch you like. I tend to start kind of in the middle. If you start going to one end or the other, it just gets a little bit confusing. Straight down in the middle, move the paper along. And punch it out. And then go to the other side, line it up. Again, move your paper along. I did see, and I can't remember where I was, at a retreat, somebody used a border punch, but instead of moving the paper along, they kept the paper where it was and moved the punch along, which, I don't know, it just seemed a hard way of doing it to me. Again, just roughly in the middle, move your paper along. Just line it up. Move it all the way over this way. How many of you have got border punches? And when was the last time you used that punch? I mean, if you were bothered, you could perhaps use these little bits, but that's just a step too far. So now you've got a double page layout that you can line up in one corner and then line up in another corner. Now, because you've then punched off it, it doesn't quite go to the edge. So what you can do is move it in, keep it straight, and that would give you a white border around the outside. And again with this, straighten it up, that would then give you a border. You could then put your photos on there. You can put a photo down there, so you're still keeping your baubles, and you could put one there or there. And then what I would do is get a background stamp, and by background stamp I mean something that's a bit random. Let's have a look. In fact, I've not got any red ink pads out. I mean, what you could then do is get a, what colour is that? Small stencil, and then so that would then just, you don't have to use the full thing. Just give you a little bit of colour in the background. I think I was doing this, I'd probably use my red, but I don't know where that's gone. So again, you can go off the page as well. And do a bit more there. Whoops. And then a little bit more up here. So then when you've put your photo mats down, you could do that and you would still see some of the stenciling or the stamping behind it. A technique that I saw when I was online looking for something else was, pick these up, if you've got ink all over your stencil, get a spray bottle with water. Make sure I've got a tissue to hand. This might be a bit pale for doing this. Turn it, spray your water on the back, turn it upside down, use kitchen roll over the back of it and just do that, and then when you pick it up you get a reverse image of your stencil. So rather than that is the reverse image. And sometimes you can get, depends how much water you've put on it. Yeah, there wasn't really enough on that one, and it would be better with a darker colour, but you get the idea. You can do that. I've only used small stencils because that's what I had to hand. Any stencil that you've got, that can be done on. And if you don't like it, so if you did that and didn't like it, you can cover it up with your paper. Or if you did that and thought, actually that's really, really good, I want to keep a feature of that, if you put your paper back on, you've still got a little bit of the stenciling at the top. So what you could do is stencil a bit more through. Trying to think where the paper goes. And if you play with it, you don't have to stick anything down until you're ready. So your paper then goes back on there like that, but you've got your bits of stenciling showing through. You've got your reverse stenciling there, and again on that one I will just stencil through a bit. I think these are distress oxides that I'm using, but any ink that you can stencil with that you've got there. So that gives you a different way. So if you've only got the one sheet of a particular 12 by 12 scrapbook page, that gives you a way where you wanted a double page layout, but you've now got one, and you can do that. Sometimes the pieces that came off the top of this border, you can put in a line, or you could do them, because these are longer because they're on the diagonal, so they are longer than 12 by 12. You could do it and put a line on one like that, and then put the other one across the top like that. Just tuck that under there. So you've then got something that works on both pages, across both pages, just to give it that look that they belong together, if that's the right word. To do that, if you're not bothered about having your scrapbook layouts matching on either side of the page, you don't have to. You could punch it. I have seen them where you punch it, you put them back in the corners like that, and then you can put one big photo mat and maybe a little one up there, and another little one down here, and do it like that. So there's lots and lots of ideas, because I wish I could remember who it was that messaged me, and was saying, you know, I've made lots of Cal's mini books, but I have got lots of odd pages that I don't know what to do with, that were left from the kits. So by doing that, you can keep them, and then if you've got little bits and pieces left, what you can then do is use those to make cards with. Just to show you a couple of other things. Get them out. So when you've had a kit that you've made your book, you've done everything you can. This was a kit, I can't remember how long, oh I can do. It was the Falling in Love sub kit from, I can't remember how long ago, but I had these two strips of the leafy paper and this piece of kind of homey paper. And in the instructions it did say that if you've got the pumpkin page, you needed to cut a lot of pumpkins out. So I had cut all these fussy cut all these pumpkins, and when I finished the book I didn't need half as many as I'd cut, and I didn't want to get rid of them because they took me forever to cut out. So that's something you can do. That was a cut apart that wasn't used in the book. It was a very hot day and it was a big climb, which is why I look rough. So that's something you can do to use up what's in your kit. These are, again, I don't even know if this was the same kit or no, this was a different kit. Again, I'd cut all these, fussy cut all these out and didn't need them all. So this one, I think I actually tore that down the side like that. I probably used a ruler to make sure it didn't go off. And then these were cutter parts that were left, and they were chipboard die cuts that came with it. And just because I didn't like the starkness of the card, I just got a feather stamp. I don't even know why I chose, but just randomly stamped it just to give it all together. This was a book I made with, it's a 49 and market kit. So I made the mini book, and I'd used a strip off there and a strip off this one in the book for something. So I don't know if it shows very well. There is a border punch, it's quite pale, along the edge down there. Yeah, you can just about see it. So border punch there, and then these were all the bits of ephemera. Obviously with 49 and market, you know, you get loads. Now here I cut into the butterfly, it is part of that page, and just slid that behind so it looks like the butterfly's coming over. The same with this one. This was one of the frames in the kit, so I just cut round the butterfly with a craft knife, being really careful you only cut the butterfly and not your own fingers. And again with this one, just cut round there and pop the photograph underneath it. And everything on here, all these tags and flowers, came out of that kit. Now with this kit, as well as the book, I did that double page layout. That's right, so this sheet of paper I cut in half, straight down the middle, put half on one side, half on the other, and again I've border punched down the side. So instead of cutting the sheet in half and moving it out, I swapped it over. These are the bits that came off the border punch, and again these die cut frames were all in the kit. There was just such a lot left in the kit. This one, they weren't full sheets, but I managed to, I was obviously bored one night because I sat and fussy cut all the way around there and all the way around this one. Now with this, on the page, on the back of this page, I'd cut something out so it had a strange shape on the flower. So I just put one of the frames above it with the photograph in, so you can't tell. The butterflies were from it, the words, the stamps down here and up here, that is one piece that I didn't have enough of to do both sides. So yeah, and I don't know where my photo, I've got 2 photographs missing, but I'm not sure where from. So like I'm saying, there is a lot that you can do if you've got the odd pages left from your excuse me, from your kits. This is another one that I just decided to wiggly cut it, stuck it down and then cut before. Now I've got photos to go on here, but like I say, they've not arrived, and I think I was going to put a title on there, but again that is just one sheet of the paper. And these are just other scrap layouts. I thought I had some more from other kits. Yeah, so this was a kit, and I did that page, but I still had some of the papers left, so I just popped it along there. And these were all, I think they were stickers, which, you know, we've all got the kits where you've got lots and lots of stickers, so use them up. There's no reason to have random stickers stuck around in your craft room. So just to give you a few ideas, because I wish I could remember who it was I was talking to, said, I feel guilty that I've got this really nice paper. It's too nice to throw away or give away, but I don't know what to do with it. And I think this is where your board, I mean, this isn't even a border punch, I just ripped it. You could ink it and make it stand out more, but I quite liked it like that. So there's so much more that you can do once you get your when you finish with your kits. Like I say, that 49 and Market one, I did the book 2, 4, 6 double page, so 6 scrapbook layouts plus a card, and I think I had very little left. You know, you've all paid good money for your kits, so make the most of them. And don't drop your scrapbook on your toe, because that one's really heavy. The other thing you can do if your paper's double-sided is swap it over, so it makes you get a bit of a reveal on it. But yeah, let's have a quick catch up on the comment. I can't read and do it at the same time. Lorraine, only one border punch. I wish that was the case. I have a lot of border punches, and I think since die cutting's come along, they've kind of been pushed to one side, but they are very robust. You don't have to have electric to use them, and they can be used for all sorts. They're a really good tool that we have, and I bet people have got the tools and forgotten about them, which we do with crafty goodies. Hi Ruthie, Lynn. I've got heaps but need to sort. Yes. It is hard because as crafters we like, I was going to say we like a tidy craft room, but that's because you can't see anything apart from what's on my desk. One thing I found is that I've labelled all my drawers, so I don't have to say, oh, where's my corner punch, where's my border punch, because it's in the drawer labelled border punches or corner punches, as long as you remember to put it back in the right one. Which, you know, can't blame anyone else except me for that. A few in a drawer, yeah. Yeah, I need to use my dies more, but again, I have dies that I can use in crafting, in scrapbooking and in mini book making, but sometimes I've seen people who, I can't remember which the company was, one of the big UK crafting brands that brought out a set or a number of sets of bookmaking dies, which are really good, but you only get one shape, so you've got to use that size, which is good, but if you wanted to do a bigger one, you can always make it bigger if the die only cuts one size. But yeah, I'm with you. You need to use dyes more. Evening Glenda. Ooh. See, Glenda's giving me ideas now. Let me have a look. So if I put that like that and then reverse it over. Oh. There you go. You've got a reverse, a contrasting stripe on it. And again, pop your photo mats down. Don't know where that's come from. And you've got a scrapbook layout. So there's no need to feel guilty because you've got paper that you're not using, because you can use it in different ways now. And I think once you've made a book and then you've made a scrapbook layout with your papers, and then with the bits that are left made a card or a few, I don't think you'll have much of any of the collections left, which is a really good idea because you've paid good money for the papers. And if you gift your book, you've still got some of the papers, which is what I do when I made a book for my goddaughter. Loved the papers, gave her the book, but I've still got some of the papers and a scrapbook layout because I didn't want to waste them. Yes, Tonic's the one I was thinking of. They do bookmaking dies, and I did buy 2 or 3 of them, but I just felt they were a bit restrictive. And like if you're making a book yourself, you can make it from 2 by 2 inches up to as big as your card. So if you had A3 card, you could make one up to A3. But yeah, they're great for quick and easy books. But the other thing is, when you die cutting the papers, you have to be very careful if they are directional papers. Made that mistake. So has anybody got any questions? If there's anything they want to know about your punches or scrapbook layouts or anything like that, just pop it in the comments and I will see what I can read. Although it I'm sorry, I've just had an email pop up to say that Elon Musk wants to connect with me. How bizarre. Yeah, they are a faff, Lisa. They're great if you've got plain non-directional papers. But yeah, I found them too restrictive. And if I'm honest, I think I sold mine on because I didn't get on with them. My pleasure, Lorraine. Like I say, the new book from next week is using Stamperia. The kits are in the shop and I've actually got a few boxed up ready, which is not like me. So I hope you've all enjoyed tonight. If there's anything that anybody would like any more info on, or you want me to go through anything, or do I know how to do whatever, either ask the question in the group, pop me a direct message, and I may know the answer, I may not. If I don't, I can always Google and see what Google tells me to do. Have a lovely weekend. Don't stay out in the sun too long because it looks like it's going to be really, really, really hot over the next few days. Take care, everyone, and I will see you next Wednesday. Crack on with the Mediterranean book tomorrow. Lorraine, you've got the perfect weather for it. No worries, Glenda. I'll speak to you all soon. See you soon. Bye-bye.